Okay, we are continuing with the cartoon jumble exercise. I have 5 layers in here. They're all set to multiply mode within the layer window, which makes them appear transparent. But some of them are better than others, some of them are thicker than others, some of them are cleaner than others, some of them have kind of grayish smudges. So now I want to work with them. And I've started to go through individually and rasterize them. And the way you do that is to right-click on the layer once it's visible and say rasterize. And that will keep it from being a linked smart layer. And then it will allow you to do things like erase from it. You can free transform with the shortcut Command T, whether a file is a smart file or not. But you cannot erase or change pixels without first rasterizing. Now, the nice check I want you to do before you start rasterizing is to go up to Image and Image Size. And remember, we are looking for files that were at least 6 megapixels. So you want it to be somewhere around 8 by 10 inches, maybe just short of that, at 300 pixels per inch. Or if it's only 72 pixels per inch, your physical dimensions should be huge. They should be like 35 by 40 inches. Basically, your full image size should be around 5 megabytes. If it's fewer than 5 megabytes, you don't have a large enough resolution to print this, and that just means your reference files aren't high enough resolution, high enough quality. So if that looks good, here's the next thing I'm going to do to make the working area a little bit easier. You see how when I rotated my background, I lost a little bit on the edge there. And if I'm worried about that, I want to be able to maybe grow, say, this file and not lose content. I want to make the paper size bigger. And this is called canvas size. So it doesn't change the resolution of your image. It simply builds more usable pixels around your image, like a frame. So to do that, you go up to the image options and you say canvas size, which is right under image size where you check your resolution. And whatever your native physical dimensions are, remember we have the rulers turned on so that we can see that. So that's roughly 8 by 9 inches. You want to make that larger. And I'm going to make it larger by about 1/4. Maybe even by 1/2. So I'll do around, let's just say 10 by 14 inches. And I'm growing it from the middle. So it's going to grow on all sides and just give me more space to work with. I can zoom out with Command minus to get the lay of the land, and this way I can see where mistakes are going to happen. If I'm distracted by the checkerboard, I can create a new layer using the little post-it key in the layer window and say Edit Fill, Solid White at 100% normal mode, and then just drag that layer underneath everything else. And when I do that, I'll usually name the layer blank white and I'll lock it, just so I can't accidentally add content to that. That will help you see. For instance, that shows me that this layer here has a paper edge that's a little distracting, not something I want. And so then I can go to that layer, lasso around that, and delete it. It also shows me very clearly when the paper background is slightly off on one layer. And even though it's on multiply mode, because those pixels, those gray pixels are darker than white, they'll show up. Let me help them show up a little bit more so you can see. And so to take care of that, I'm going to go to Image Levels. And here I'll make it darker first so you can see the problem with that. But then I'm just going to brighten the midtones and brighten the highlights until that's gone. But move the black triangle of the levels to make sure that the linear content of it is still nice and dark. So this is the first time we've used an adjustment, right? We've transformed, we've used scale and rotate, but now I'm actually using adjustment to contrast the image. And you can use brightness contrast as well, but my favorite through the semester is going to be levels. And so levels gives you these 3 triangles. This is the highlights. This is the midtones. And you see the midtones is a good place to start. If I wanted to thicken the lines a little bit, I could do it with levels. And these are the dark shadows. So that's how you can clean up poor scans. And now that looks nice and clean. All right. Now, what if I want to scale this a little bit bigger now that I have the canvas size? I just hit Command T, which is free transform, right there. Photoshop will teach you shortcuts if you're interested. They'll always show them off to the side here, the simple 2-key shortcuts. Command T will come in very handy. And then I can hold down Shift and expand this larger or smaller. If I wanted to expand to the middle instead of off to one side, I can hold down Option as well. So this is just holding Shift, and you see how it grows from one locked corner. But if I hold down Option and Shift, it will grow from the center. And of course I can rotate, and if I right click within it, I can even flip it and do some other things. All right. Next, I might want to take some content out, right? So if I like this visor here, this is something that's good for my tablet. I already took out his eyes, but now I want to take out these overlapping lines with the visor. So I'm going to use my lasso. It's like cutting out with an X-Acto knife when you're using a tablet. And connect a loop and then just hit delete. I can do that again for this leg resource right there. It doesn't need to be perfect. This I'll take out of that background layer. So now he has a leg going into the visor. Maybe I'll get rid of that mouth as well. This is all about playing around, making your own composition from existing pixels. And if you want to use lab hours and take the time to make this really, really perfect, you're more than welcome to do that. But for now, we're just using it as a pass-fail exercise to get used to these tools. And I chose cartoons because generally they're a little simpler, though these He-Man drawings have a lot going on. And this is only combining 2 layers. So you might just get kind of fed up and say, well, I don't like this whole leg here, so I'm just going to take all of that out. Nothing wrong with that. Take big chunks out at a time. Or this sword, that's annoying me. I don't like the way it looks. Let's just take that out. So do a big loop and a cut. All right, now let's bring in another layer. This one has an oval around it. You can see that this is another chance for me to clean it up. The paper in the background is a little off, so I go to Image Adjustment, Levels. I'm going to play with the midtone to see what my issue is. And I'm going to brighten the highlight while keeping the blacks nice and dark. And then I can get rid of that oval if I want, just by looping around it, hitting delete. You'll get so much better at making selections with practice. And then I don't want her face showing. I'm just going to circle around that and get rid of it. And then I can use the magic wand trick, select within her face, and delete that from other layers as well, if I want that just to be empty space. Maybe try that with her arm. Select within her arm band, and then just delete that from other layers. Because selections can move throughout. All right. So we know we can zoom in and out with Command plus and Command minus, but we can also move around our area just by holding down spacebar and clicking and dragging to navigate. Try another layer. Going to adjust this using levels. Play with midtones first, that gray triangle. And brighten up the highlights. Make sure that your black lines aren't diminished. Command T to transform. Still your best tool here. And rotate. And as you go, this is a big mess. I'm going to get more and more selective. So now I'm really going to start cutting things out I don't think I need. And I might move things around even more. So I'm going to use this leg, and that's about it from that reference. And I'll clean up the space around it a little bit by deleting inside on some of the other layers. And if I ever don't like what that does, I can always hit Command Z. I have an area selected here, and all I have to do is turn the eyeballs on and off to see what it will actually erase in that area on the different layers. So this exercise is all about just getting used to these layer tools, how they can be used.